I was a waitress earning $47 in tips, and I just called the most dangerous man in Chicago a coward to his face, in his own language. That night, I found a black envelope on my car. Inside, a message written in beautiful Arabic. The brave sleep in graves. No signature. Just a phone number. I should have run. I should have disappeared. But here's what no one tells you about crossing paths with a man like Dante Marchetti, the ghost who controlled every corner of this city, who could erase anyone with a single phone call. He didn't want me dead. He wanted something far more dangerous. What started as one moment of defiance, one spilled glass of wine, pulled me into a world of billion-dollar empires, Russian assassins, and a love so consuming it nearly destroyed us both. My apartment was burned to ashes. I was hunted by rival crime families, and the man who should have been my enemy became the only person willing to die for me. But the darkest secret? Our entire meeting was a lie. Every word, every look, every moment I thought was real was carefully planned. This is the story of how I fell in love with a monster, and how that monster burned his entire kingdom to the ground, just to keep me safe. This story will remind you that real strength isn't about power or control. It's about having the courage to be vulnerable, to love fiercely, and to walk away from everything you've built when the people you love matter more than the empire you created. I knew the shift would end badly because of the man in the corner booth. He was speaking Arabic into his phone, but it was not the language that bothered me. My grandmother's voice was soft and musical when she taught me those same words in her kitchen. This man's voice was different. It was sharp and full of command. Every word was a weapon fired across the quiet restaurant. I was 3 hours into my shift at Marcello's, a fancy Italian place in downtown Chicago. The wine here cost more than my apartment, and the customers wore watches that could buy a house. My feet were throbbing, and my apron held just $47 in tips. It was never enough. An hour earlier, the man had arrived with 4 others. They all wore expensive suits that suggested both wealth and danger. They chose the private booth in the back, behind velvet curtains meant for people who needed privacy. My manager, Tony, had approached me with worried eyes. He told me to be polite and quick at table 12 and not to linger. I had served powerful men before, from politicians to celebrities. I even served a low-level mobster once who thought a big tip guaranteed silence. But this man felt different. He sat like a king at the head of the table. His dark hair was perfect, and his jawline looked sharp enough to be a weapon. Across the entire room, I could feel his authority. The very air around him felt heavy, making it difficult to breathe. His eyes were as dark as a midnight sky, cold and missing nothing. I brought their first course without any trouble. My grandmother's Arabic lessons came back to me as I overheard parts of their talk. It was about business and territory. They mentioned someone named Victor who had made a mistake. Then his phone buzzed. The atmosphere in their booth turned icy. He answered in Arabic, his voice starting low before it swelled with a rage he could barely control. "No," he snapped, his accent perfect and natural. "I told you the shipment goes to the South Dock, not the North." The other men at his table froze. They were like small animals that had sensed a hunter's anger. "Are you an idiot? Do you want this to be your end? I will kill you myself." My tray shook as I walked toward them to clear the empty plates. I knew I should have waited. But Tony was watching from the bar, signaling for me to hurry. The man's voice grew louder, becoming a sharp edge that cut through the air. "I do not want your excuses. I want you to follow my orders." He slammed his hand down on the table. The wine glasses shook from the impact. His men flinched but said nothing. Then he said something that made my own blood turn to ice. "If you fail me again, I will send your family pieces of you. Do you understand?" The phone hit the table with a loud clatter. He pushed a hand through his hair, his jaw so tight I could see the muscle twitch. That was when I made my mistake. I had already cleared 3 plates without a sound, but as I reached for his wine glass, my hand trembled. The glass fell over, and red wine spread across the white tablecloth like a stain of blood. Everything felt like it was moving in slow motion. His head turned toward me instantly. Those dark eyes hit me with the force of a punch. All the anger he had for the person on the phone was now aimed at me. I could not breathe. "You fool!" he snarled. The insult hung between us. I remembered my grandmother's words. Never let a powerful man see you as weak. A spark of defiance, fueled by exhaustion and anger, ignited inside me. I stood up straight, looked directly into his eyes, and replied in perfect, clear Arabic. My voice was firm even though my heart was pounding. "I am not your fool, and you are no king to speak to me that way." The entire table fell silent. His eyes widened just a little. It was the first sign that his composure was cracking. One of his men let out a small gasp, but I kept going. The words came out before I could think. "You yell at men on the phone who are weaker than you. That does not make you powerful. It makes you a coward." The word coward echoed in the silent room. For a few seconds, no one moved or breathed. Then he rose to his feet. He was much taller than I thought, over 6 feet. He moved with the deadly grace of a panther. He walked slowly around the table until he was standing right in front of me. He was so close I could smell his cologne, a mix of cedar and smoke. I had to look up to keep his gaze. "What is your name?" he asked. His voice was soft but strong. Every part of me wanted to run, but I was pinned by his stare. "Lila," I whispered, hating how weak I sounded. "Lila," he said, testing the name. Then, in Arabic, so low only I could hear, he said, "You speak my language. Call me a coward to my men, and you tremble when I am near. Which one is the real you, Lila? The brave one or the scared one?" "Both," I said. It was the truth. Something changed in his eyes, maybe surprise. His gaze flickered to my lips for just a moment. "Interesting," he murmured. Then he spoke louder, in English. "Bring me a new glass. And do not spill this one." He went back to his seat. My heart was a drum against my ribs. I should have walked right to Tony and quit. I should have run from that man and never looked back. Instead, I brought him a new glass of wine. My hands were perfectly steady. When I placed it on the table, he grabbed my wrist. His grip was not painful, but it was firm and stopped me cold. His skin was warm. "What is your family name?" he asked. "Why?" I asked back. His thumb moved over the pulse in my wrist, feeling my rapid heartbeat. "Because, Lila, anyone who calls me a coward to my face is either a fool or very dangerous." A hint of a smile touched his lips, but did not reach his eyes. "And I do not think you are a fool." He let go of my wrist. It felt like my skin was burned where he touched me. As I walked away on trembling legs, I heard one of his men whisper to him in Italian, "Boss, you cannot let her." "Silence," he ordered. His eyes followed me until I was gone. I did not know it then, but that one moment of defiance changed my entire life. The man I called a coward was Dante Marchetti, the king of Chicago's criminal world. He controlled the city and could make anyone disappear with a single command. And I had just insulted him in front of his closest men. When I left work that night, I found a black envelope on my car's windshield. Inside, a note was written in beautiful Arabic script. "The brave sleep in graves." Below it was a phone number. There was no signature. I started shaking as I got into my car. The envelope felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. I should have thrown it out. I should have gone to the police. But instead, I clutched it all the way home. I knew my simple life was over, and something far more dangerous was just beginning. I could not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Dante Marchetti. He was standing too close, his dark eyes looking into me as if he could see all my secrets. The note sat on my table, a constant reminder in the dark. The first thing I did at home was search his name online. My laptop screen lit up my face as I read the articles. Dante Marchetti, Chicago's most untouchable man. A federal investigation had stalled. 3 rival families had vanished after they challenged him. Pictures showed him at charity events with politicians. He was always cutting ribbons or shaking hands. In every photo, he had the same cold look on his face, as if he was just pretending to be a normal person. An FBI agent was quoted in one article. The agent said Marchetti runs his operations like a business. Anyone who knows the truth is either paid off or dead. He is the third generation of a crime family, but he is more powerful than his father and grandfather ever were. He is a ghost. We know what he does, but we can never prove it. I shut the laptop. My heart was racing. What have I done? At 3 in the morning, I gave up on trying to sleep and made some tea. The old copper kettle my grandmother gave me whistled quietly. She passed away 2 years ago. I was completely alone. The city had become a vast, threatening place. I wondered what my mother would say if she were here. Would she praise my courage for challenging a powerful man, or scold my recklessness? I could almost hear her voice. Habibi, bravery without sense is just another name for foolishness. The next morning, I told work I was sick. My boss, Tony, sounded relieved. He told me to take a few paid days off, calling it a bonus. He hung up before I could object. A cold fear settled in my stomach. Tony was terrified. Dante Marchetti had been in his restaurant, and I had insulted the man publicly. I was a fool. I spent the entire day in a cleaning frenzy, trying to scrub away the anxiety under my skin. I organized everything in my tiny apartment, keeping my hands busy to stop my mind from racing. The note he left sat on my nightstand. I could not throw it out. But I would not call the number. What could I say? Sorry for calling you a coward, please don't kill me? At 6 o'clock, a knock came at my door. I froze, holding a soapy plate. A second knock, harder this time, made me put the plate down. I crept to the door and looked through the peephole. A huge man in a black suit filled my hallway. He stood at least 6 feet 4 inches, with shoulders too wide for the doorframe. His face was blank, but his eyes darted everywhere. Miss Hassan, he said through the door. Mr. Marchetti wishes to see you. My blood ran cold. I have no idea what you mean, I answered, hating the tremble in my voice. Please, Miss Hassan, do not make this hard, he replied, his tone flat and professional. He only wants to talk. You are safe. Then why send a thug to my door? There was a short pause. Then I heard a quiet laugh. I am not a thug, Miss Hassan. I am your transportation. The real security is waiting in the car just in case you refuse to cooperate. I leaned my head against the door. My mind was spinning. What could I do? The police would never believe me. A polite man was in my hallway after I insulted a known mob boss. They would tell me I was wasting their time. Miss Hassan, the man said, Mr. Marchetti sent a message for you. He spoke in Arabic. Al-Jaban la du hadati. A coward does not invite you to his home. Damn him. He twisted my own words into a challenge, turning his command into a test of my nerve. I looked down at my old jeans and a faded university t-shirt. This was not the right outfit to meet a crime boss. I need to change, I said. Of course, I will wait. My heart pounded against my ribs. This was crazy. I should find a way to escape, but there was nowhere to run. Dante Marchetti would find me anywhere. Running would just make me appear weak. It would mean I failed whatever test this was. His note said the brave end up in graves, but he also said I was not stupid. Maybe being brave and smart could coexist. Maybe this was about picking my battles. Or maybe I was just talking myself into walking into a lion's den. I put on black pants and a simple cream blouse. I grabbed my phone and my keys. I wanted to text someone, to tell them where I was going, but there was no one to tell. My family was gone from Chicago. My college friends had all moved on. I had let all my connections fade while I worked to survive. If I disappeared, I wondered how long it would take for anyone to even notice. I opened the door. The man smiled warmly. Miss Hassan, My name is Marco. Shall we? He offered his arm as if we were going to a party. I did not take his arm. I stepped out and locked my door, my hands shaking only a little. After you, I said. His smile grew. Certainly. A black sport utility vehicle waited outside, the kind used by government agents. The windows were completely black. Another man in a suit stood beside the back door, and Marco opened it for me. The drive is about 30 minutes. Where are we going? To Mr. Marchetti's estate on the North Shore. Of course. A mob boss would have an estate. I got inside, the leather seats incredibly soft. Marco sat next to me. A second man drove, and a third man in the passenger seat turned to study me. We were driving before I could change my mind. My city felt strange and hostile as we drove past. We went north on Lakeshore Drive, with the black expanse of Lake Michigan beside us. Miss Hassan, Marco began, Mr. Marchetti wants to assure you this is only a talk. You will be brought home safely. A conversation that needed 3 men and an armored car. Marco's mouth twitched. Mr. Marchetti is a very careful man. He has enemies. And he believes I am one of them? No, Marco said, his face becoming serious. He believes you are interesting. That is much more dangerous. A chill went through me. What is that supposed to mean? It means that in the 10 years I have worked for him, I have never seen him take an interest in anyone like he has with you. He looked straight at me. I cannot tell if that makes you lucky or terrified. Both, I whispered. It is always both. Marco raised an eyebrow. You said that to him last night at the restaurant, did you not? I just nodded. Interesting, he said, echoing his boss. He then turned to the window, and the conversation was over. We drove through wealthy neighborhoods in silence. The houses became mansions with huge lawns. We finally turned down a private road under a canopy of old oak trees. A high stone wall appeared, followed by giant iron gates that opened for us. The long driveway passed through perfect gardens. The home at the end was more like a palace. It was 3 stories of stone and glass, glowing from inside like a treasure chest. It looked both beautiful and intimidating. We stopped at the front, where wide stone steps led to massive double doors. Marco opened my door. This way. My legs felt weak as I got out, stunned by the size of the place. How much money and power did this represent? The doors opened automatically, held by an older man in a butler's uniform. Miss Hassan, he greeted with a small bow. Mr. Marchetti is waiting for you in his study. Please follow me. The inside of the house was more breathtaking than the outside. There were marble floors, crystal lights, and art that belonged in a museum. Everything suggested generations of immense wealth and permanent power. We went up a large staircase to the 2nd floor and down a hall filled with portraits of men who all looked like Dante. The butler stopped at a heavy wooden door and knocked once. Enter! The voice was like an electric shock. The butler opened the door and motioned me inside. The door shut behind me with a heavy, final sound. The study itself was dangerously beautiful. Bookshelves reached the ceiling, filled with old leather books. A fire burned in a marble fireplace. The rugs on the floor were likely worth more than my apartment. Huge windows overlooked the dark property, with Lake Michigan stretching out into the blackness. Dante Marchetti stood beside them, holding a glass of dark liquor. Back to me. He had changed out of his suit. Now he wore dark pants and a white shirt with the sleeves pushed to his elbows. I could see the thick muscle in his forearms. His hair looked messy, as if he had been running his fingers through it. This version of him seemed more threatening than the cold crime boss at the restaurant. Sit, he commanded without looking at me. I did not move. Why am I here? He finally turned. The firelight danced across his face, making him seem unreal. His dark eyes locked onto mine, and I felt the same spark as last night. It was a feeling of being truly seen for the first time. You did not call, he stated. You sent a threat on my life. Most people do not answer those with a phone call. A small smile touched his lips. It was not a threat. It was a fact. The brave find their beds in the dirt. I folded my arms across my chest. That sounds very much like a threat. Does it? He approached me with a predator's smooth walk. Every step was slow and careful. I was trying to compliment you. You were brave but also very foolish. I needed you to see what bravery costs in my world. He was only a few feet away now. I could see the dark circles under his eyes and the tightness in his jaw. He seemed exhausted. He looked more human than the frozen statue from the restaurant. So you sent your men to bring me to your mansion? To teach me about dying? My men did not bring you anywhere. You came on your own. I hated that he was right. Dante, why am I here? I used his name on purpose, and I saw a flicker in his eyes. It could have been surprise, or maybe he approved. He pointed to a leather chair by the fire. Please, sit with me. The word please was so unexpected that I obeyed. I sat down in the chair. He sat in the one across from me. Our knees were almost touching. For a long time, he just stared at me. You speak perfect Arabic, he said at last. Where did you learn it? My grandmother. She was from Lebanon. She raised me after my parents were gone. How old were you? 6. He gave a slow nod. I was 8 when my mother passed. My father raised me right here. He taught me about our family's work. His eyes drifted toward the flames. I sometimes believe young orphans are the most dangerous people alive. We have nothing more to lose. The sudden honesty in his voice made me hold my breath. This was not the icy crime boss. This was a different man. A real person was under all that armor. I am sorry, I said quietly, about your mother. And I am sorry about your grandmother. When did you lose her? 2 years ago. Do you have any other family? I just shook my head. Not here in Chicago. I have some distant relatives in Lebanon, but I have never met them. So you are alone in this city. It was a statement, not a question, but I answered him. Yes. His expression changed. A crack appeared in his cold mask, showing something almost gentle. I understand that feeling. To be in a crowd of people but feel completely on your own. He leaned closer, resting his elbows on his knees. The fire cast deep shadows on his face. Ela, do you know the reason I had you brought to me tonight? Hearing my name from him sent a strange chill down my spine. To scold me for insulting you? No. He reached out very slowly, giving me a chance to move away. He took a piece of my hair that had fallen from my bun. He rolled it between his thumb and finger with an incredibly soft touch. I brought you here because for 10 years, no one in this city has ever looked me in the eye and called me a coward. Perhaps they should have. He smiled then. It was a genuine smile that changed his whole face. He looked younger, almost like a boy. Perhaps they should have, he said again. Isla, do you have any idea what my life is? Every single person I know wants something. Their loyalty is bought with either money or with fear. They show respect because they must. My enemies act like my friends. My friends could become enemies for the right amount of money. He let go of my hair. His hand rested on the arm of his chair, so close I could feel its warmth. And then there was you, a waitress I did not know. You were trembling with fear, but you refused to give in. You told me the truth in a language you hoped I would understand. You did not want anything from me. You were not trying to trick me. You said it because I was behaving like a jerk. His gaze locked with mine. The intensity made my heart beat faster. Do you know how incredibly rare that is? How powerful? I could have been killed, I whispered. Yes. His hand moved and covered mine on the armrest. It was warm and strong. That is what made it an act of courage. And that is why you are a danger, Ila Hassan. Because I have no idea how to handle a person like you. His thumb drew small circles on my skin. The simple touch felt like a permanent mark. I should send you away, he said, his voice becoming softer. Send you back home and forget this ever occurred. That would be the smart choice. the safe choice. But, but I cannot get the image of you out of my head. The way you looked at me like I was just a person, not a king, like you saw through all of this. He gestured at the room around us, to the man underneath. He stood up suddenly, and he pulled me to my feet along with him. We were very close now. I had to look up to meet his eyes. His other hand rose and gently held my jaw. His touch was so careful. "Tell me to let you go," he said. "Tell me you want no part of me or my life. I will have Marco take you home. You will not see me again." My heart was pounding in my chest. This was my way out. My chance to leave this darkness behind me. I could go back to my small, protected life. But when I tried to speak, other words appeared. What if I do not want to go? His eyes grew darker, the pupils widening. "Then you are even more foolish than I believed." "Or more brave," I replied, using his own words. "Brave people end up in graves, Isla. Then I suppose I am not ready for sleep yet." For a single moment we were both still. Then he bent his head slowly, giving me every opportunity to back away. His lips were just above mine. I could feel his breath. "Last chance," he whispered. "Leave now, before this turns into something we cannot undo." But I was never good at choosing the safe option. My grandmother used to say I had my father's stubbornness and my mother's wild heart. I closed the small space between us. The kiss began softly, a gentle question. His lips were not as hard as I had imagined. They moved against mine with a control that felt like a barely contained hurricane. His hand moved from my jaw and into my hair, tilting my head back to kiss me more deeply. And then something snapped. He pulled my body tight against his. His other arm went around my waist. The kiss became a fierce, devouring fire. I gasped into his mouth. He used the chance to slide his tongue against mine. The rhythm made my legs feel weak. This was more than a kiss. It was him claiming me. It was a promise and a threat all at once. My hands landed on his chest. I could feel his heart hammering under my fingers. He was pure muscle and raw, restrained power. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt more alive than I had in a very long time. He ended the kiss but held me close. His forehead rested on mine while we both tried to breathe. "Isla," he said. My name sounded rough with need. "You have to know what you are doing. My world is not safe. It is not a gentle place. People close to me get hurt. The people I love become targets." "Then maybe you ought to let me go," I said. But I did not try to move. I should. His arms held me tighter. "But I will not. May God help us both. I will not." His phone vibrated in his pocket, breaking the spell. He cursed quietly in Italian, then in Arabic. He finally let me go so he could check the device. His face turned to ice in a second. Every trace of warmth disappeared behind that cold mask. "What is it?" I asked him. He looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that chilled my soul. It was not anger. It was fear. "Your apartment building," he said softly. "It is on fire." The trip back into the city was a complete nightmare. I sat stiffly in the back of the sport utility vehicle. Dante was next to me. His hand was on top of mine in a grip that was meant to be reassuring. But it felt more like he was holding me back, worried I would do something reckless. He had said almost nothing since the phone call. He just made a few quick calls in Italian and Arabic. His voice was sharp with authority. Marco drove with more speed than before. He cut through the late-night traffic with an expert's skill. "It might be a coincidence," I heard myself say. My own voice sounded strange to me. Dante's jaw tightened. "It is not. You cannot know that for sure." He turned his head to look at me, and the pure rage in his eyes made me— "Someone knew you were at my home tonight. They knew hurting you was a way to send a message to me." The word felt wrong, important. "I only met you yesterday, yet here we are." His thumb drew slow circles on my palm. It seemed like a reflex, a need for contact to keep himself anchored. In his car, in his house, the kiss in his study. That kiss felt like it happened in another life. A time before, when my biggest worry was offending a crime boss. Not my things, I whispered. My grandmother's things. Her teapot, her photographs. We will buy new ones. You cannot buy new memories. He fell silent, his face softening just a little. Number one, I cannot do that. I am sorry. The word sorry sounded awkward coming from him, as if he rarely used it. We turned onto my block, and I saw the glow before I recognized the fire. An orange light painted the dark sky, and my stomach turned to ice. 3 fire engines filled the small street. Water arced from hoses toward the top of my building. Smoke, thick and black, poured from the windows. My neighbors stood on the sidewalk, wrapped in coats over their pajamas, watching their homes disappear. The car had barely stopped when I jumped out, running for the entrance. Isla. Dante's voice was strained behind me, but I kept going. A firefighter grabbed my shoulders, his grip firm, stopping me from getting any closer. Ma'am, you have to stay back. I live in there. Apartment 4C, on the 4th floor. Ma'am, the 4th floor is completely gone. I'm sorry, but was another person inside? Dante's question cut through my haze. He was suddenly beside me, and his presence made the firefighter stand a little taller. Are there any casualties? No, sir. Thank God. The building was mostly empty for a Saturday. We have found everyone. I leaned into Dante. Relief and grief fought inside me. No one was hurt, but everything I had, every memory of my grandmother, was gone. Where did the fire begin? Dante asked. His voice was calm, but his body was rigid. It is too soon to know, but it looks like apartment 4C. Is that your unit, ma'am? A deep chill spread through me. Yes, I breathed. The firefighter's face filled with pity. I am truly sorry. It seems like it was an electrical problem, but the marshal will investigate. Do you have a place to go tonight? Dante's arm slid around my waist, both possessive and protective. She does. The firefighter nodded and walked away, yelling commands to his men. I stared at the fire consuming my home, my life, my entire world. My grandmother's copper teapot was melting. Her pictures were turning to black ash. Her voice was being erased by the flames. It was not electrical, Dante said, his lips near my ear. It was set on purpose. It began in your apartment and traveled up. How can you be sure? Because I have ordered enough fires to recognize one that was intentional. He turned me to face him, holding my face in his hands. Ela, you need to listen. This was not a random act. Someone is trying to tell me something. What are they trying to say? His eyes were dark pools in the firelight. His face looked like it was carved from stone. That they are aware of you, that they can get to you, that if I do not back down from my plans, you are the cost. The truth of his words landed on me like a physical blow. This happened because of you, because I visited your house, because someone saw us kiss, saw me get into your car. His grip on my face tightened. In my world, showing interest in a person is the same as painting a target on them. Then let me go. The words came out on their own, but I knew they were useless. Tell them I am not important to you. Tell them it was all a mistake. He let out a hollow laugh. It is too late. They saw Marco escort you to me. They saw how long you were there. They know. Know what? He studied my face for a long moment, his expression impossible to read. Then he spoke so softly I almost missed it. That you matter. Before I could respond, a second vehicle, identical to ours, pulled up. 2 men got out. One held a tablet. Boss, he said, handing the device to Dante. We have the footage from the neighbor's camera. Dante accepted it, turning the screen so I could see. The video showed the front door of my building from 2 hours earlier. A man in dark clothing and a hat walked to my door. He looked around once, then used a key. Why did he have a key? He went inside. 17 minutes later, he came out, walking calmly with his hands in his pockets. 15 minutes after that, smoke started to drift from my fourth-floor window. Can you make out his face? I asked. Dante zoomed in on a frame where the man had glanced toward the camera. It was not a clear image, but it was enough. He had sharp features and a scar through his left eyebrow. Maxim Vulov, Dante said. His voice was cold and dangerous. He is one of Viktor Antonov's men. Who is Viktor Antonov? The leader of the Russian syndicate in Chicago. We have been in territory talks for 6 months. He gave the tablet back. It seems Victor believes that burning your apartment will make me more cooperative. He said it so casually, calling me a woman I'm interested in. It made me forget to breathe. But now was not the time for that. What will you do? He looked at me then, a conflict clear in his eyes. It was the crime lord calculating his next move against something softer, something human. I will keep you safe, he said at last. And then I will make Victor regret this day for the rest of his short life. You will return to my estate with me. You will remain there, under guard, until this is over. I cannot just do that. Ela. He held my shoulders, making me look at him. Your home is gone. You have nothing left. Victor knows who you are, and he has already tried to have you killed tonight. This is not a choice. I can find a hotel. I can leave Chicago. He will find you. His hands moved down my arms, his touch surprisingly soft. His reach includes every hotel, every airport, and every bus station. The only place you can be truly safe is with me, with my men around you. Men who follow you for money. Men who follow me because I have spent 10 years earning their loyalty. Because I defend what belongs to me. I do not belong to you. His eyes burned. Don't you? An hour ago, you kissed me in my study like you wanted me to consume you. You looked at me like I was a man, not a monster. You made me feel again. He moved closer, his voice low. Maybe you are not mine yet. But you will be. I am not letting you go. I should have been afraid. I should have hit him and run. Instead, a strange excitement moved through me. What if I refuse? Then Marco will carry you to the car. But you will not refuse. You are too smart. You know I am the only person who can stop a Russian bullet from finding you. He was right. I hated him for it. Fine, I said, but only until you deal with Victor. His lips formed a cruel smile. Of course. Temporary. But his tone made it feel like a permanent sentence. As Marco held the door, I looked back at my building one last time. In that fire were the last tangible pieces of my grandmother, the last links to my parents, the last proof that I had a life before him. Now, there was nothing. Nothing but the protection of a crime lord, and a growing fear that I had entered a world I could not leave. The estate was different in the dark. Dante led me through new hallways, with Marco following like a shadow. On the 3rd floor, he stopped at the final door in a long hall. This is for you, he said, opening it. The room was bigger than my old apartment. A large bed with 4 posts stood in the center, covered in dark blue silk. A wall of windows showed the dark grounds and the lake. A fire was already burning in the fireplace. Someone had been expecting me. There are clothes in the closet, Dante said, his voice all business. My sister's things, from when she would stay here. You two are a similar size. The bathroom is over there. A phone is next to the bed. Dial 0 if you need anything. I walked into the room, hugging myself. The truth of my situation was beginning to settle. I was a guest in a mobster's mansion, wearing his dead sister's clothes, because an enemy of his wanted me dead. Your sister? I asked, holding on to that single human detail. A shadow crossed his face. She died 5 years ago. I am sorry. Do not be. She was brilliant and wild, and this world was not good enough for her. He glanced around the room, a brief look of pain on his face. She was the only one who always told me the truth. She saw past the power, the money, and the violence. She saw the man underneath it all. His eyes seemed to say, "The way you see me." How did she pass? I started, then stopped. I apologize. It is not my place to ask. Cancer, he said, his voice flat. Leukemia. I had control of half this city. I owned politicians. But I could not save my little sister from her own body. He laughed, a bitter, broken sound. It turns out even my power has limits. I acted on pure instinct. My hand found his, and our fingers intertwined. Dante looked down at where we were joined. His thumb traced a line over my knuckles. I think she would have liked you. She always claimed I needed someone to call me out on my nonsense. She sounds like she was incredible. She was. He fell silent for a beat, then seemed to pull himself together. You should get some sleep. We will decide what to do in the morning. He started to walk away, but I held onto his hand. Stay. The word left my lips before I could stop it. He went still, his back facing me. Ela, I cannot be alone tonight. My voice trembled. Please. He turned around slowly. The desperate need I saw in his eyes was a mirror of my own. If I stay, I am not sleeping on the floor. And I am not sure I can share that bed with you without touching you. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I did not let go. What if I want you to touch me? You have been through a trauma. You are not thinking clearly. I will not take advantage of you. But what if I want you to? His jaw tightened. Do not say things you do not mean. I moved closer until I could feel the warmth of his body. My home is gone. All of my possessions are gone. Every memory of my grandmother is turning into ash right now. The only thing I have left is this moment, here with you. I met his gaze, letting him see every ounce of my pain. So you are right. I am not thinking straight. And I am vulnerable. But I am also alive, and I need to feel something besides grief and terror. I stood on my toes and pressed my lips to his. For a second, he was completely still. Then, with a sound that was part groan and part surrender, his arms locked around me and he kissed me back. This was nothing like the first kiss in his office. This was raw and consuming. His hands tangled in my hair, tilting my head back as he guided me toward the bed. My legs bumped the mattress and I fell backward, taking him down with me. He braced himself on his forearms, his body pressing me into the cool silk sheets. This is your last chance, he whispered against my mouth. Tell me to leave. Do not even think about it. Something inside him broke. He took my mouth again, his kiss becoming fierce and possessive. His hands slipped beneath my shirt. His cold fingers moved over my stomach, and I arched against him. So soft, he mumbled, placing kisses along my jaw and down my neck. You feel so fragile. I am not fragile. He pulled away just enough to look at me, his eyes wide with desire. No. You are steel covered in silk. He held my face in his hand. You are magnificent. I pulled his mouth back to mine, my fingers fumbling with the buttons on his shirt. He helped me, shrugging the garment off. The firelight made his body look like a sculpture. Hard muscle, tan skin, and scars that told stories of a violent past. I traced a thin line along his ribs. How did you get this? A knife fight. I was 19 and foolish. He took my hand and kissed the palm. I do not want to discuss my scars. What do you want then? His eyes went dark. I do not want to talk at all. He stayed true to his word for the next hour. Afterward, we were tangled together in the sheets. My head rested on his chest while his fingers drew lazy circles on my back. The fire was nothing but glowing embers. I need to go, he said, but he did not move. Stay. If I stay, my men will see. The entire organization will know you were in my bed by morning. He was silent for a long time. That makes you a much bigger target. It signals to everyone that you are important to me. Am I? The question was barely a whisper. Are you important to me? He shifted onto his side to face me. His gentle touch on my cheek made my heart ache. I have ended men for looking at me the wrong way. he said softly. I have ruined companies, wiped out entire families, and burned down territories. I feel no guilt. I sleep perfectly fine at night. His thumb stroked my skin. But when I received that call tonight, when I thought you might have been inside that building, his jaw clenched. I felt something I had not felt since my sister died. Terror. My breath hitched. So yes, Isla, you are far more important than is safe for either of us. I gave him a soft, slow kiss, trying to show him everything I could not say. When I moved back, his eyes looked a little too bright. Stay, I whispered one more time. He did not refuse. I woke up to bright sunlight and angry yelling from downstairs. Dante was already awake and dressed in a fresh white shirt and black slacks. He stood by the window, once again looking like a powerful crime boss. The vulnerability from last night was gone, hidden behind a mask of cold control. What is going on? I asked, sitting up with the sheet clutched to my chest. He turned, and his expression softened when he looked at me. Victor sent a package. He wants a meeting. That is a good thing, is it not? A chance to negotiate. His message was inside a box. Dante's voice was completely flat. Inside was the head of Maxim Volulkov. A chill went through me. The man who set my building on fire. Yes, Victor is saying it was not approved, that Maxim was acting alone. He offers him as a gesture of peace. Dante let out a harsh laugh. This is how Victor shows his power while pretending to be fair. He is saying, see how I discard my own people. Think about what I will do to you. What will you do? He stared at me, his eyes filled with a dangerous and possessive light. I will show Victor why they call me the ghost. Then I will make certain he can never threaten what belongs to me again. A sharp knock sounded at the door before I could say anything. Boss? It was Marco's voice. We have an issue. Dante was at the door in 3 long steps. Marco was standing there, his face tight with alarm. Victor knows she is here. He just called. He specifically mentioned the Lebanese waitress sleeping in your dead sister's bedroom. The air in the room grew cold. How? Dante's voice was dangerously low. We are not sure, boss. But he is not requesting a meeting now. He is demanding one. He said if you are not there in 2 hours, by yourself, he will take it as a declaration of war. Dante's hands balled into fists. Tell him I am on my way. Boss, that is clearly a trap. I know. Tell him anyway. Marco paused for a second, then nodded and left. Dante looked at me, and I could see him running through scenarios in his head, planning his next move in their deadly game. You are going to meet him, I stated. Yes. And if it is a trap, his lips twisted into a cruel smile, then Victor is about to discover that ghosts are exceptionally difficult to kill. He walked over to me and held my face between his hands. Stay in this room. Do not leave. Marco will be right outside, and I have 12 men on the grounds. You are safe. He kissed me, hard and possessive. I will be back for you. I promise. And then he left. I was alone in his sister's room, wearing her clothes, watching him get into a vehicle and drive toward Viktor Antonov's trap. I understood with perfect clarity that in the last 36 hours, I had stopped thinking of Dante Marchetti as a threat. I now saw him as someone I could not bear to lose. I only lasted for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of pacing and watching the clock, picturing all the ways Victor could end Dante. 20 minutes of feeling trapped and useless while the man who had become vital to my survival drove straight into danger. 20 minutes until I decided to do something reckless. Marco stood guard outside my door, just as Dante promised. He looked up, his face polite but unyielding. Miss Hassan, Mr. Marchetti wanted you to stay in the room. I just need some air. A short walk. I cannot let you do that, Marco. I moved toward him and spoke in a low voice. My entire life was just destroyed by fire. I am wearing a dead woman's clothes after spending the night with a man I hardly know. That man could be dying right now. I just need some air. His expression changed slightly. It might have been sympathy. 10 minutes. I will be with you, and we do not leave the sight of the house. That was better than being caged. The grounds were stunning in the sunlight. Perfect gardens, stone paths, and a huge lake that met the horizon. Armed men were everywhere, which was both reassuring and terrifying. How long have you been with him? I asked Marco. 10 years. Since I was 22. Why? He thought for a moment before he answered. My sister was very sick. We did not have the money for her treatment. Mr. Marchetti had recently taken over for his father. He heard about our situation somehow. He came to our apartment with a check for the entire amount. Marco's voice got softer. He did not want anything for it. He just said no one should have to watch their family die over money. That does not sound like a crime boss. Mr. Marchetti is a complicated man. He can be brutal. I have seen him give an order to kill someone without even flinching. But he protects his people. Once you belong to him, you are his for life. Marco looked over at me. That is both a gift and a curse. We stopped at a stone bench near the lake. I sat down and hugged myself against a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. He is going to die trying to protect me, I said, my voice quiet. Perhaps. Or maybe you are the reason he needs to live. To be reminded that power is for protecting those you love, not just for having it. I do not even know him. Miss Hassan, I saw him last night when he heard about your apartment. I have never seen that man truly scared before. And this morning, when Victor's men dropped off that box downstairs, Marco just shook his head. The expression in his eyes was not about business. It was personal. I felt a buzz in my pocket, but I had no phone. My old one was destroyed in the fire. Marco's hand moved to his gun. That is not yours. I pulled the device out carefully. It was a cheap burner, the kind you find in gas stations. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. It said, "He is lying to you. Ask him what he really did the night you met." A chill ran through me. Marco, did Dante give this to me? No. He stepped closer, his body rigid. Let me see it. I gave him the phone and watched his face darken as he read the words. This is one of Victor's games. He is trying to get in your head. Whatever that says, it is meant to make you doubt Mr. Marchetti and create a problem between you. But how did they even get this to me? I am supposed to be in the most secure location in Chicago. Marco's jaw tightened. We have a traitor. A new message appeared. Check his phone records for the night you met at that restaurant. He called your manager. He offered him $10,000 to put you at his table. My world felt like it was tilting. That is a lie, Marco said instantly. Victor is manipulating you. Then it should be easy to prove. I looked him in the eye. Call my manager, Tony. Ask him if Dante gave him money. Miss Hassan, call him now. If it is a lie, then we know Victor is just trying to mess with my head. But if it is true, my voice broke. Then I have to know who I am really with. Marco seemed conflicted. His duty to Dante fought with something else. It might have been respect for me, or just the idea that I deserved the truth. He finally took out his own phone and made the call. This is Marco, head of security for Mr. Marchetti. I have a question about a payment. He paused. The evening Miss Hassan served the private booth. Did someone give you money for that specific assignment? A longer pause followed. I understand. How much? His face became completely unreadable. And you failed to report this because… Okay, thank you. He ended the call. The silence between us was heavy. How much? I whispered. 20,000, not 10. Marco's voice was flat. Tony said a man arrived that afternoon before dinner. He described you perfectly. He said Mr. Marchetti wanted you and only you as his waitress. Tony knew it was strange, but $20,000 was enough to make him stop asking questions. Another text arrived. He planned your meeting. He researched you. The sudden insult, the brave server who challenged the crime boss. It was all a script. You are not special. You are a target. The phone trembled in my hand. Miss Hassan, do not listen to this. Victor is just. Why would Dante do that? I stood up, my thoughts racing. Why create such an elaborate trap? Why not just ask me out like a normal person? I do not know, Marco said. But there must be a good reason. Is there? I gave a bitter laugh. Or maybe the reason is exactly what Victor says. I am just a fool who fell for a trick. You are not a fool, and Mr. Marchetti's feelings for you are genuine. I saw it on his face last night. Real feelings that started with a fake meeting. I walked away from him, my hands shaking. I am so stupid. He looked at me like I was the first person to ever defy him. That was just part of the act. He must have a type. Lonely women with dead family members who speak Arabic. We are easy prey for his games. Miss Hassan, please let us go inside. I have to think. Marco looked like he wanted to say more, but he just nodded. We returned in silence, my mind a storm. Before I reached my room, 3 more messages came in. He knew your grandmother's name before you said it. The fire was not Victor's work. It was his, to make you rely on him. You are not the first. Ask about Isabella. Find out what happened to her. I slammed the door shut and sagged against it, struggling to breathe. It could not be true. The emotion I saw in Dante's eyes, the way he held me, the vulnerability he showed when he spoke of his sister. It could not all be an act, could it? I looked at the room differently now. His sister's room. A woman who died 5 years ago. It was so convenient that I wore her exact size, that her clothes fit me so well. So convenient this room was prepared and waiting. How many other women had been in this bed, wearing these clothes, thinking they were the one? Who was Isabella? The door flew open. Dante was there, his face like a storm. He was covered in blood that was not his. There was so much of it. Are you okay? He asked, rushing toward me. His hands moved over my arms and face, searching for injuries. I pulled away. Do not touch me. He stopped. Ela, what is it? Did you pay my manager $20,000 to make sure I served your table? His expression became a careful mask. Answer me, Dante. Did you arrange for us to meet? He was silent for a long moment before he spoke quietly. Yes. Hearing him admit it felt like a punch. Why? Because I saw you. He pushed a hand through his bloody hair. 3 weeks ago, in a coffee shop by the university. You were reading a book, completely lost in it. When the barista called your name, you answered in Arabic without even thinking. You were. He stopped. You reminded me of someone. Your sister. He became very still. How did you know? Victor has been sending me messages, telling me about your deceptions, your lies, your whole plan. I held up the burner phone. How did this get past your security, Dante? How did Victor get a phone to me inside your fortress? His face turned to stone. Show me. I threw the phone to him. He read through the messages, his jaw getting tighter with every word. Most of this is a lie, he said at last. But not all of it. No. He met my gaze, and I saw something raw in his eyes. Not all of it. I did see you before that night. I did arrange for you to be my server. I did. He paused. I wanted to meet you, and I knew you would never say yes to a date if I just introduced myself as Dante Marchetti. So you invented a situation where I would insult you, so you could act impressed by my courage. Dante, do you realize how sick that is? Yes. There was no argument in his voice, only acceptance. I know exactly how sick it is. But Ela, everything that happened after that, everything between us, has been real. How could I ever know that? How can I believe anything you say when our entire relationship started with a lie? Because I am telling you the truth now. His voice grew louder. Because I could let you believe Victor's story that you are just a target, that I am using you. That would be the easy way out, the safe way. But I am done lying to you. Who is Isabella? The name struck him like a physical blow, the color drained from his face. Where did you hear that name? Victor told me about her. He said to ask you. He said I am not the first one. Dante sank onto the bed and put his head in his hands. When he finally looked up, his eyes were filled with ghosts. Isabella was my sister's best friend. They were like sisters. After my sister died, Isabella tried to help me. She was there for me. I thought. He stopped. I thought maybe I could feel something for someone again. Let them get close. We were together for 6 months. What happened? Victor happened. He learned about her. He used her against me, kidnapped her, and demanded I give up territory to get her back. His voice became empty. I got her back, but they had tortured her, broken her. She looked at me like I was a monster for putting her in that position. And she was right. I gave her enough money to disappear and start a new life. I have not seen her in 3 years. The pain in his voice felt genuine. But was it enough? So you learned not to bring innocent women into your life, and yet, here I am. Yes. He stood and moved toward me carefully, the way you would approach a wild animal. Here you are. And I could not stop myself. When I saw you in that cafe, so full of life and fire, not even knowing your own power, I wanted it. I wanted you. So yes, I planned our meeting. Yes, I manipulated things to pull you into my life. He stopped just short of me, his eyes fixed on mine. But the fire, Isla, that was Victor. Every word he sent you about that was a lie. I would never hurt you just to make you need me. I would never. His voice cracked. You mean too much. I do not know what to believe. Then do not believe what I say, believe what I do. He took out his phone, found something, and showed it to me. The screen displayed a photo of Maxim Volulkov's dead body in an alley. I did not know Victor sent this to me as a fake apology. I believed he had actually killed Maxim. So I went to meet him, ready for a fight, ready to destroy the threat to you. He swiped to a second picture. It was Viktor Antonov, clearly dead, his expensive suit soaked with blood. I killed him, Isla. The leader of the Russian group in Chicago. I have started a war that will cost me millions. It will bring attention from the government that I cannot handle. It will upset half of my business. His eyes were burning. I did it because he made a threat against you. Because he made you question us. Because he tried to take you from me. I could not breathe. Dante, you want to know what is real? This is. The blood on my hands is real. The war I just began is real. And the fact that I would do it all over again if it kept you safe, that is also real. He reached out slowly, allowing me to move away. He held my face with his blood-covered hands. I am not a good person, Isla. I have done horrible things. I will do them again. But the way I feel about you, that is the most real thing in my life. Tears started to burn in my eyes. I do not know if I can trust you. Then let me earn that trust. His thumbs wiped away tears I did not know had fallen. Stay here with me. Let me show you that you are not just a tool or a game. You are not a replacement for my sister. Let me show you that we are real. I wanted to believe him. Him. Part of me wanted to believe him so badly it was a physical ache. But trust shatters, it does not mend. I need time, I whispered. I need to think without you standing there, looking at me that way. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. All right. I will give you space. But Isla, he said, resting his forehead against mine, do not run. Do not leave. Let me keep you safe while you decide if you can forgive me. Why would I stay? Because the lies and the blood do not change the truth. You are safer with me than anywhere else. Victor's men will want revenge. And you are tied to me now, together or not. His voice lowered. And because I know you feel it too. This connection between us that defies all logic and sense. He was right. Damn him. I will stay, I said. For now. But this changes nothing between us. I know. He kissed my forehead softly. Take all the time you need. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood alone, surrounded by a dead woman's belongings, in her clothes, sleeping in her bed. I wondered which Dante Marchetti was the real one. Was he the cold mastermind who arranged our first meeting? Or the broken man who had just killed for me? And which one was the greater threat to my heart? 3 days went by in a strange, quiet haze. I remained in the room, my sanctuary and my prison. I could not tell which it was. Food would appear outside my door, left by silent staff who never spoke. Marco checked on me twice each day. His face was a careful mask, as he asked if I needed anything. I always said no. The phone he gave me was silent on the nightstand. There were no more messages from Victor, because Victor was gone. Dante's hands, stained with blood, had held my face with such tenderness. I should have been terrified. Dante was a killer. He was a violent, dangerous man, everything my grandmother warned me about. But when I pictured him, I did not see a monster. I saw the look in his eyes when he spoke of his sister. I saw the vulnerability when he confessed to his plan, and the raw fear when I asked him to leave. On the fourth day, I left the room. The house felt different, now that I was walking its halls by choice. I passed walls of family portraits, generations of Marchetti men with the same sharp faces and cold eyes. I saw a picture of a young Dante, his arm around a girl I knew must be his sister. They were both smiling. He looked so much younger, free from the weight he carried now. I found a library on the second floor. It was a huge room with leather chairs and shelves that reached the ceiling. A fire was burning in the fireplace. Dante was by the windows, his hands in his pockets, looking out at the lake. He did not turn when I came in, but his body tensed. He knew I was there. "I thought you were giving me space," I said. "I am. This is my home. I have to be somewhere." His tone was carefully neutral. "You can use the library. I will go if you want. Do not." I walked closer to him, looking at his profile. He looked worn out, with dark circles under his eyes and the shadow of a beard on his jaw. "Have you been sleeping?" "Not really." "Is it because of Victor? Or because of you?" The honesty in his voice stole my breath. He finally turned to face me. I saw how much the last few days had cost him. "I keep playing our conversation over in my mind," he said, "wondering what I could have said to make you understand." He stopped. "But there is nothing, is there? What I did was wrong. No explanation can change that." I went to the window and stood beside him, careful not to touch. Below, I could see Marco and his men on patrol. They were a constant reminder of the danger outside these walls. "Why me?" I asked softly. "Of all the people in Chicago, why did you notice me?" He was quiet for a long time. "Do you believe in ghosts, Isla?" The question was so unexpected. "What?" "After my sister died, this house was haunted. Not by a spirit. But I saw her everywhere. Her favorite chair, the piano she played, the garden where she read for hours." He motioned toward the grounds. "I was drowning in her memory. Nothing helped me. Not my work, not the violence, nothing. And then I saw you. I saw you in that coffee shop, reading as if the world did not exist. You seemed so calm, so comfortable being alone." He turned to me. "And when you answered the barista in Arabic, for just 1 second, I heard my sister's voice. She used to switch between languages just like that, without even noticing. My heart ached for him. I am not her. I know." His hand started to lift toward me, then fell to his side. "I knew that almost right away. You are not her at all. You are stronger, more defiant. She was gentle, but you are sharp. She was trusting, and you question everything." A small smile touched his lips. "When you called me a coward, I knew you were nothing like her. You were completely your own person. But you still set up our meeting." "Yes, because I am a selfish man who had to know you. And I knew you would never agree if you knew who I was." He moved toward me. "I had one rule. Meet him once. Just have a single conversation with a person who reminded me what humanity felt like. But you were standing right there, trembling but so defiant, so brave. He paused, his voice breaking. And I wanted more than that. This is not some storybook, Dante. You cannot just arrange a clever meeting and expect me to collapse at your feet simply because you are handsome and menacing. I understand. His voice was raw. I know I am asking for things I have no right to. Your forgiveness, your trust, a chance to show you I am better than my darkest actions. His gaze held mine. But I have to ask anyway. The alternative is letting you leave and never seeing you again. I cannot survive that. You hardly know anything about me. I know that you are brave enough to call a crime boss a coward. I know you speak 3 languages, but default to Arabic when you are scared. I know that you loved your grandmother so deeply that losing her possessions in the fire hurt more than losing the house itself. I know that you are lonely, but you choose solitude over the company of people who do not truly see you. He stepped even closer. I know the way you kiss feels like you are afraid it will be your last. I know you sleep curled on your left side. I know you drink your tea with mint because it is how your grandmother prepared it. Tears stung my eyes. How could you know that? Because I watch you. Because every single moment I have with you is important. Because I am desperately and dangerously consumed with learning what brings a smile to your face. This is completely crazy. We have known each other for less than a week. 5 days, he corrected me. It has been 5 days since you came into my world and changed everything. 5 days since I remembered how to care for something other than territory and influence. He reached out with deliberate slowness, allowing me time to flinch away. He gently tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. I am not skilled at this, he said softly. Relationships, emotions, being vulnerable. My father beat those things out of me when I was a boy. But for you, I want to learn. I want to become the person you see when you look beyond the brutality and the bloodshed, the man who is worthy of your forgiveness. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to silence the conflict inside my own chest. All logic screamed at me to flee. He was a threat. He had deceived me. He had taken lives. But my heart, that foolish, reckless thing, wanted to remain right where I was. I cannot promise that I will stay, I whispered. And I cannot promise I will forgive you for everything. But, his voice was almost silent. But I can promise that I will try. I will give you an opportunity to show me this is not another one of your tricks. The relief on his face was so intense it was almost difficult to look at. He gathered me into his arms, holding me tightly as if I might simply vanish. Thank you, he whispered into my hair. Thank you. I promise you, Isla, I will spend the rest of my life earning back your trust. I will prove to you every single day that this is real. I allowed myself to rest against him. For a brief moment, I let myself feel protected. But a quiet voice in my mind still whispered a warning. Trust was a delicate thing, and Dante Marchetti was a man who built his life on violence and deceit. No matter how much I wanted to believe in his gentle touch, the truth of his world was waiting just beyond these doors. That truth was about to come crashing down on both of us. The explosion came at sunrise. I was woken by the sound of shattering glass and Dante's arms wrapping around me, pulling me out of the bed and down to the floor in a single, smooth movement. He shielded my body with his own, as pieces of the ceiling fell around us. "Stay down," he ordered, his voice sharp and full of authority. Outside, the sound of gunfire erupted. The fast pops of automatic rifles mixed with the deep roar of shotguns. Men were yelling in both Russian and Italian. "What is going on?" I gasped. "It is Victor's men," he said. "They are here for payback." He was already pulling me toward the bathroom, the only room without windows. "You stay in here. Lock this door. Do not open it for anyone except me or Marco. Dante." He gave me a hard, fast kiss. "I will be back for you. I swear it." Then he was gone. I was alone in the bathroom, listening to a war begin inside the house. The bathroom was now my entire universe. I climbed into the huge marble bathtub. It was empty, but it felt safer than being out in the open. I just listened to the pandemonium on the other side of the door. The shooting grew louder. Sometimes it was so close I could hear men shouting commands. Other times it was distant, and I could almost convince myself it was happening to someone else. Almost. The phone Dante had given me, my real one, vibrated. It was a message from him. Still alive. Do not move. Love you. Love you. 2 words I never thought I would hear. 2 words that altered the entire situation. Another blast shook the building, this one farther away. The lights went out for a second, then came back on. I pulled my knees into my chest, trying to make myself smaller. I fought not to imagine all the ways this night could end. Dante could be killed. I could be killed. We could both perish in this room while his entire organization burned around us. Time lost all meaning. I could not tell if minutes or hours had passed. The gunfire slowly faded, replaced by angry shouting in Italian. It was the sound of men taking back control. And then there was only silence. A deep and terrifying silence. I stared at the bathroom door, holding my breath. Was it finished? Had Dante survived? Or was his body lying somewhere in this mansion while I hid here like a coward? A knock on the door made me flinch. Miss Hassan, it is Marco. Everything is secure now. I did not move a muscle. Victor's men could have Marco. They could be using his voice to trick me. Miss Hassan, I know you are afraid, but I swear it is me. Mr. Marchetti sent me for you. He is. Marco's voice wavered just a little. He is asking for you. That small break in his voice was what convinced me. My legs were shaking as I climbed out of the tub and unlocked the door. Marco was in the hall, covered in dust and blood. His left arm was hanging at a strange angle, clearly broken, but his gun was in its holster. Is he okay? We need to go right now. I followed him through what was left of Dante's beautiful home. The windows were gone, the walls were covered in bullet holes, and blood stained the floors. There were bodies. I forced myself not to look at them. We went to the first floor and through a door I had never seen before. We went downstairs to a basement I did not know was here. It was made of reinforced concrete. It was a bunker, a safe room built to survive an attack just like this one. Dante was in a chair in the middle of the room with his men around him. His shirt was gone. A doctor with steady hands was stitching a long cut across his ribs. His eyes met mine as soon as I walked in, and his face filled with relief. Ela. I was already moving across the room. My hands went to his face, searching for other injuries. Are you hurt? How bad is it? I am fine. He took my hands and kissed my palms, ignoring the doctor's annoyed sound. It is just a scratch. It looks much worse than it is. You were shot. It barely grazed me. A flesh wound. He flinched as the doctor pulled a stitch tight. How are you? Did they get near your room? No. I stayed in the bathroom as you told me. I looked at the 12 men left in the room, all that remained of his guards. How many did we lose? I said we instead of you. Marco noticed, raising his eyebrows. Dante's grip on my hands tightened. 7 dead. 3 are in critical condition. His voice was empty and controlled. Victor's second, Alexei, was in charge of the attack. He brought 20 men. 18 are dead. We have 2 of them. And Alexei? A dark look passed over Dante's face. He is being questioned. That meant he was being tortured. I should have been disgusted. But all I felt was relief. These men had tried to kill Dante, and I was glad they had failed. The doctor tied the final stitch and stepped away. You need to rest. Nothing strenuous for at least 1 week. If it starts bleeding again. I know. Thank you, Teresa. He stood up, checking his range of motion, then turned to his men. Marco, handle the cleanup and security. I want double the guards on the perimeter until we know if this was their only move. Take our injured men to the hospital through the private entrance. Someone needs to call the councilman. We need the police to ignore what happened here. His men left, leaving the two of us alone with Teresa, who was packing her bag. "You said you loved me," I said suddenly. Dante went still. "What?" "The text message. During the fight, you wrote, 'Love you.'" My heart pounded. "Did you mean it?" He walked toward me slowly, favoring his wound. His hands gently held my face. "Yes," he said. "I meant it. I think I have meant it since the day you called me a coward in Arabic. I just never had the courage to admit it. That is not possible. We do not even know each other. I do not care." His thumb traced my cheekbone. "I do not care if it is too soon or too much or too reckless. I do not care if this is going to cause me the greatest pain of my life. I love you, Isla, and I will continue to love you if you stay or if you leave." Tears burned in my eyes. "This is insane. Your home was just attacked. People were killed. You were shot. This is not the moment for this. It is the perfect moment," he said, pressing his forehead against mine. "Because I almost died without ever telling you. I will not make that mistake a second time." I kissed him then, a kiss that was fierce and desperate. It was full of emotions I had no words for. When we finally separated, we were both breathing heavily. He gave me that smile, the genuine one that changed his entire face. "Does this mean you will stay?" I looked around the concrete bunker, at the emergency supplies, at the evidence of violence. I looked at Dante, bandaged and bleeding, but looking at me as if I was his only connection to being human. "I do not know," I answered him honestly. "I do not know if I can live in a world where people try to kill us during breakfast. A world where violence is normal, and where you might not survive the next battle." His face was etched with pain. "I understand, but I am not sure I can live without you either." Saying it felt like my chest was being torn open. "You are dangerous, and you lie, and you have killed people. You planned our entire relationship. You pulled me into your war. You are everything I should run from. I know. And yet, when I thought you were going to die, when I was in that bathtub listening to the guns, my voice cracked. The only thing I could think was that I needed you to live, that I could not lose you, that somehow you had become essential to me. Isla. So I do not know if I am staying for the right reasons, or because I am scared, or because I love you too." The words just came out. "I just know that right here, right now, I choose you." The kiss that followed was nothing like the others. It was soft and slow, filled with promises and hope, and a terrible, beautiful love. "Right now is all we need," he whispered against my lips. "We will handle the rest together." Teresa cleared her throat. "If you two are finished, I have other patients to see in my medical bay." We pulled apart, both of us smiling. It was absurd to find joy here, in a bunker surrounded by violence. Dante took my hand, his fingers weaving with mine. "Come on, let's go." We went back to the main floor. In the daylight, I saw how bad the damage was. Windows were shattered. There were bullet holes in the walls and blood on the marble floors. "I will rebuild it," Dante said, seeing where I was looking. "I will make it stronger, a fortress where no one can hurt us." "Or," I said quietly, "we could just leave. We could go somewhere Victor's men will never find us, somewhere you are not a target." He looked at me as if I had suggested growing wings. "Leave Chicago? Is that idea so crazy? You have money. We could vanish and leave my people behind?" He shook his head. "Ela, I cannot. Families depend on me for protection. My businesses." He stopped. "This is who I am, the ghost of Chicago. I cannot leave, even if staying here gets you killed. Even then." He pulled me close. "But I can make it safer for us. This attack showed me the weaknesses in my security, things I must fix. And once I fix them, once I have removed every threat, there will always be another one. That is the world you live in. Then I will remove those threats too." His voice was like steel. "I will burn every rival organization in this city to the ground if it keeps you safe." I looked up at this powerful, dangerous man who was now mine. I realized it was the most romantic and the most terrifying thing he could have said. And he meant it. He would destroy the world for me. The only question was whether I could live in the ashes. 2 weeks later, I stood in the bathroom of Dante's new master suite. I was wearing a dress I did not recognize. It was a beautiful silk, the color of a midnight sky, and it fit me perfectly. The price tag could have fed a small nation. It hung in a closet with dozens of other designer clothes, all bought for me by the man who had declared war on the entire city to protect me. Tonight was the gala, a charity event for a children's hospital. It was a gathering of politicians and the city's elite, and criminals who pretended they were honest businessmen. Dante received an invitation he could not refuse. Men with more power than him had commanded his attendance. I was his date. Going with him was a public statement that I belonged to him. It meant I was under his protection. To hurt Dante, his enemies would have to get past me. He appeared in the doorway and said, "You look beautiful." He wore a black tuxedo that fit him perfectly. His body had healed from the attack, but the emotional scars remained. The violence had made him obsessive. He turned his home into a fortress with new guards and reinforced windows. He became a harder, colder version of himself. But when his eyes met mine, the mask slipped. I saw the man underneath. I adjusted his bow tie. "You look good yourself," I said. Are you prepared to act like normal people tonight?" "I am never normal," he answered. "But for you, I can pretend." His expression grew serious as he took my hands. "You are not required to come. I can handle this by myself. It would be safer for you here." "I am going," I insisted. "We are a team." He repeated the word together, like a vow. The ride to the gala was tense. Marco drove, and 2 other cars filled with guards surrounded us. Dante held my hand tightly. "I have never taken anyone to these events before," he admitted. "It is too risky, too much of a vulnerability." "Then why bring me?" "Hiding you is not safety," he said. "It is invisibility. I want this whole city to know you are mine. If they touch you, they will have to face me." The ballroom was filled with the city's most powerful people. They wore expensive clothes and offered fake smiles while making secret deals. When Dante entered with me on his arm, the room fell quiet. The whispers followed. "Who is she?" "He never brings anyone." His hand tightened around mine. "Pay them no mind," he said. "They are envious. You are the most stunning woman here." His compliment made me laugh despite my fear. "You are biased," I told him. "Completely," he agreed, guiding me to the bar for a strong drink. While he ordered, I studied the crowd. I saw corrupt politicians and businessmen who hid their crimes. Then I saw him. A man across the room whose cold stare was a clear threat. My instincts screamed danger. "Dante," I whispered, "who is that?" Dante followed my gaze, and his whole body became rigid. "Damn it, who is he?" I asked. "Antonio Ricci," he said in a low voice, "the head of the New York syndicate. For years he has tried to move into Chicago. I have stopped him every time. Now Victor is gone, creating a power vacuum. Ricci knows the attack left me weakened." Dante's hand settled on my back, a protective gesture. "He is here to make his move." Before I could process this, Antonio Ricci was walking toward us. He moved with the confidence of a predator. He was an older man with silver hair and a cold smile. "Marchetti," he said, "I heard your home was destroyed." "Reports of my death are premature," Dante replied, his tone like ice. "I do not recall you being on the guest list, Ricci." "A late invitation," the councilman insisted. Antonio's eyes shifted to me. "And who is this lovely lady?" The air between them was electric with hatred. Everything in me wanted to hide, to disappear. Instead, I held out my hand. "My name is Layla Hassan. It is a pleasure to meet you." Antonio kissed my knuckles in an old-world gesture. I could feel Dante's fury beside me. "The pleasure is mine, Miss Hassan," he said. "How does a beautiful woman like you get involved with a dangerous man like Marchetti?" I pulled my hand back. With my eyes open, I said carefully. His smile grew. Smart and beautiful. Excellent choice, Marchetti. Dante's voice was sharp. Did you need something, Richie? Or are you here to waste my time? Actually, I came to make an offer. Victor's territory is available. We could fight, but that would be messy. Why not divide it? You control the north. I will control the south. To stay out of each other's way. Antonio's eyebrows shot up. No? Not even a discussion? There is nothing to discuss, Dante said. Chicago is mine, every part of it. If you need territory, New York is waiting for you. I cannot do that, Antonio replied. You see, I have made promises, commitments that require my expansion into this city. His eyes met mine again. It would be a problem if I failed to deliver. The message was obvious. If Dante refused, people like me would suffer. Dante moved, placing himself between me and Antonio. Let me be clear, Richie. You will not expand here. You will not touch Victor's territory. You will not use my politicians or my judges. And if you threaten what is mine again— What? Antonio laughed. You will kill me with all these people watching? You are not that foolish, Marchetti. You are no longer the ghost. You are a man with things to lose. His gaze cut to me. That makes you weak. Everything happened in an instant. Dante's fist slammed into Antonio's jaw. The sound cracked through the room. Antonio fell back, blood pouring from his lip. His men suddenly appeared and moved forward. Dante's men moved to meet them. In a flash, the elegant party became a tense standoff. Armed groups faced off as guests screamed and fled. Dante, I said, grabbing his arm. He gently shook me off, his stare locked on Antonio. This is what you wanted, Richie, to make me explode in public, to prove to the other families that I have lost my edge. Antonio wiped his bloody mouth with a cloth, a look of victory on his face. I just wanted to see if the ghost had truly found a weakness. His eyes found me again. It seems the rumors were correct. Dante drew his weapon. The motion was fluid and deadly. He pressed the gun to Antonio's forehead before anyone could even breathe. This is what happens now, Dante said, his voice calm, almost conversational. You will leave Chicago tonight. You will tell everyone that we had a productive meeting about our territories. You will smile, shake my hand, and act like none of this occurred. And if I say no, then I shoot, your men shoot, and we all die in this fancy hotel. I am prepared for that. Are you? No one moved. The music had died. The few people left were hiding, filming with their phones. This would be everywhere by morning. Antonio finally managed a cold smile. You are bluffing. You would not risk her. He nodded toward me. I realized then that this was his entire plan. He wanted to force Dante to choose, start a war that could kill me or back down and appear weak. You are right, Dante said quietly. I would never risk her life. That is why I made sure she was safe before I even came here tonight. He looked at me, his eyes filled with apology. A moment later, Marco's arms were around me, pulling me toward an exit. No, I yelled, fighting against him, but he was too strong. Dante, please! Get her out, Dante ordered, his gun still fixed on Antonio. Marco dragged me through the emergency doors as I screamed. The last thing I saw was Dante, standing alone against Antonio Ricci and his crew. He was ready to die to show that loving me made him stronger, not weaker. Waiting was the hardest part. Marco drove me back to the estate, put me in the reinforced safe room, and then left. He went back to help Dante fight the war that had just begun. I sat on the cold floor in my torn, dirty dress and waited. Time stopped making sense in that room. Then my phone vibrated. An unknown number. It was a text. Your man made a bad choice. Watch the news. With trembling hands, I opened a news site. The headline stopped my heart. Shootout at charity gala. Multiple dead. Mob boss, Dante Marchetti. Believed to be among them. No. It could not be true. I clicked the link. A violent clash at the St. Regis Hotel tonight left 7 dead and 12 wounded. Sources say Chicago boss Dante Marchetti confronted New York's Antonio Ricci. Police found several bodies, but Marchetti was not among them. He is now wanted for questioning in a homicide investigation. The phone slipped from my fingers. He was gone. Dante was dead. The man I loved, who had protected me, who had promised he would always return. The bunker door opened. I expected Marco, or worse. I expected my world to end. But it was Dante. He was covered in blood, his tuxedo ruined, but he was alive. He was standing right there. I threw myself at him, clinging to him, not caring about the blood, only that he was real. "You are alive!" I cried into his chest. "You are here! The news said you were—" "Shh!" He held me tightly. "I am okay. I am here." "But they said you were dead." "The news reported exactly what I needed them to," he said. He pulled back to look at me, holding my face in his hands. "I am so sorry I scared you. But it had to seem real. Antonio had to believe the ghost was finally gone. I do not understand." He led me to a chair and pulled me onto his lap, holding me close. "After Marco got you out, Antonio made his play. His men drew their guns, and so did mine. It was supposed to be a massacre. But I planned for it. Marco had planted charges in the hotel's electrical grid. On my signal, the lights went out. In the darkness, my team got everyone out, even Antonio's men I had paid off. When the lights came on again, the bodies, I whispered. They were from the morgue, already dead, dressed to look like your men. We made it look like we destroyed each other." His face was serious. By the time the police showed up, we were long gone. Antonio is on a flight back to New York, thinking I am dead. The other families think I am dead. The entire world thinks I am dead. "So what now?" I asked. His hands tightened around me. "Now, Dante Marchetti disappears. He died in that ballroom tonight. Someone else, with a new name and no past, gets to live." I finally understood. "You are leaving Chicago." "We are leaving Chicago," he corrected. "If you will still have me." I stared at him, my head spinning. "You would give all this up? Your power? Your name?" Without a second thought. His gaze was intense. "Isla, being with you has taught me something. Power means nothing if you have no one to share it with. Territory is just land. Money is just paper. But you," his voice broke, "you are my everything. Where would we go?" "Anywhere. I have resources all over the world, places no one would ever look for us. We could go somewhere they would never find us. Start our lives over, build something that is ours. What about your people? Marco is taking over. I have trained him for this. He is smart, he is ruthless, and he is loyal. The city will be fine." This powerful, dangerous man had faked his own death just to avoid putting me in danger. He was offering me everything: a future, freedom, a life where I was not just a weakness. "I have one condition," I said. "Anything. No more secrets, no more plans behind my back. From now on, we are partners. We decide things together. You do not get to keep me in the dark to protect me." He gave me a rare, genuine smile. That smile made him look so much younger. "Deal," he said. "No more lies. We figure it out together. Even my bad decisions? Especially those," he whispered, and kissed me. "I will be there to help you fix them." I laughed, a sound full of relief and love. "This is completely crazy," I said. "It is," he agreed. "But that seems to be our thing. So, where to first?" He took out a clean phone and showed me a picture of a villa on a Greek island. It was white stone with blue shutters, surrounded by olive groves and the sea. "It is a family property. No one knows I have it. We can stay there, figure out what comes next, plant a garden, learn how to cook, be normal. We will never be normal. No, he said, but we can try. I looked at the image and saw a future. Mornings with Dante, nights under the stars, a life without violence. It should have felt like a dream, but it felt like home. Okay, I said. Let's disappear. His smile was as bright as the sun. He kissed me again, a kiss filled with promises and a dangerous, desperate hope. When do we leave? I asked. Now, he said. Tonight. Before anyone finds out I am not really dead. I have nothing left, I said. No home, no belongings. We will buy new things, he promised. We can be anyone we want. I remembered my grandmother. She fled her home with nothing but a copper pot. She taught me that home is not a place. It is the people you love. My grandmother would have liked you, I told him. She would have said you were a bad idea. And she would have been right? I smiled. Yes, but she also believed the best things in life often are. A few hours later, we were on a plane to Greece. I watched Chicago shrink below us. I had lost so much in that city. But I had also found something better than safety. Dante held my hand. Any regrets? He asked. I thought about the life I lost, the ordinary girl I was before him. No, I answered. No regrets. He kissed my hand. My only regret is that I did not meet you earlier. We have all the time we need now, I said, and I will spend it all loving you. As we flew east, news reports announced the death of Dante Marchetti, the ghost of Chicago. They said he died in a shootout with rivals. They would never know the truth. They would never know that love was more powerful than fear or control. Love had given him his freedom. 5 years later, I was in the garden of our home in Greece, picking tomatoes. I was happier than I had ever been. Mama, a little voice called. Papa said lunch is ready. Our 3-year-old daughter ran toward me. She had her father's dark eyes and my determination. Dante stood in the doorway. He wore an apron and looked nothing like the ruthless kingpin he used to be. He looked like a man at peace. Are those tomatoes for lunch? He asked. The very best ones, I replied. Our daughter pulled me toward the house. Papa made the pasta sauce Grandmama taught him. I met Dante's eyes. The love in his gaze was worth every single risk we had taken. We had built this life together, a life of peace. We had created a family from the ruins of our past. Our love had survived war and lies to become something real. We were not the ghost and the waitress anymore. We were simply us. And that was everything. If this story made your heart race, if you felt every twist and every moment of tension, you're not alone. Stories like this are meant to be shared. Hit that like button if Lila's courage gave you chills. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have called Dante a coward that night? And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that will keep you up past your bedtime. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful storytelling and valuable life lessons to our audience.